This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
So here's what you have to do if you are a Democrat or you were a member of the mainstream media. If you're at MSNBC, if you're at the New York Times, you have to spend, and you've spent the last 3 or 4 days denying the crime problem in our nation's capital, mocking the president for attempting to do something about it, to protect lives, to stop the murders and the carjacking in our capital city. That was a bad thing, sending in federal forces to enforce the law and make residents and tourists safe again in our city. It was a real bad argument on the behalf of Democrats and in the media. You got to pivot now. Today, August 14th, you have to pivot to mocking the president for attempting to end a war, which has cost the lives of maybe 1 million people, maybe. Could be as high as 1 million people on both sides. Trump has vowed for 7 months to end this war. He didn't do it in the first 24 hours. They mock him for that, but he's been trying since then, and he makes it clear every time. He just wants to end the war. Remember what it was like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? We sat here on a daily basis and wondered, when are we going to talk about peace? When are we going to talk about a ceasefire, a settlement? It never happened. We had a president and we had a whole foreign policy team from the Biden administration that never mentioned ending the damn war. All Biden did every time he talked about Ukraine and Russia was say, we're sending another 10 billion, another 6 billion, another 50 billion to keep the war going. It was an outrage the way our last president talked about the war and escalated the war and inflamed the war and didn't give a damn what the cost was, whether it was lives or money or weapons. Just keep funneling it to Ukraine. Just keep the war going. It should go down in history as one of the great scandals. The man did not want the war to end. We have a president now who does. And what he's doing tomorrow is historic. And I know what's happening right now in the newsroom with the New York Times and the Washington Post and MSNBC. They are hoping he fails. They are rooting for war. They are rooting for failure on the part of the president, because here's what they really fear, that it might just work. And what will they do then? What will they say then? This day, tomorrow, it's going to be incredible. Win or lose, succeed or fail. Donald Trump is leaving in the morning, D.C. He's taking a 7.5-hour flight to Anchorage, Alaska. He's then going to sit down a one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin to discuss ending the damn war. Then they're going to have lunch. And then they're going to do a joint press conference. Yes, Caroline Leavitt said it this morning. She announced this morning that Putin and Trump will do a press conference. That is just wild. Joe Biden never even picked up the phone in 3 years to attempt to end the war, never even attempted to broker peace for a war that just makes no sense. And we've shown you the map. There's a few slivers of land changing hands and hundreds of thousands of people dying and brain dead Democrats, liberals, waved the Ukraine flag and said, we're going to win. Yeah, we're going to beat evil Vladimir Putin. It never made any sense. There was never a scenario by which Ukraine could win the war. They knew it. They didn't care. They just wanted to root for their team, wave their flag, post it on, put the flag on my social media bio. Those days are over. We're not rooting for anyone. We're rooting for peace. Trump is trying to make peace. And they fear more than anything, more than him, closing the border and kicking out gang members and stopping crime in D.C., more than tariffs working. This is the one big success they fear the most. Trump, indeed, ending the war. And he might fail. In fact, he expressed yesterday that he has that he's not confident. They asked him, did he think he could get Putin to stop killing civilians, targeting his civilians? And his answer was shocking. It was classic Trump. He said, probably not, because he's tried many times and failed. So he's going into this knowing there's a good chance it won't work, which will just, the media will celebrate. You'll hear cheers outside the New York Times newsroom. They will be giddy on the Sunday morning shows if Trump fails, if the killing continues, the bombing and the wasted lives and treasure. That's what the media, that's what the Democrats, that's what Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren and Hakeem Jeffries and every other Democrat is hoping their president, our president, fails tomorrow in Anchorage, Alaska. But just the visual, the optics of a president flying, for a 79-year-old man flying 7.5 hours, sitting down in this incredibly intense negotiation, talking to Putin, having lunch, and then doing a press conference together, talking about this war and what it will take to end it. That is so incredibly bold and risky. And Trump, I'm hoping he succeeds. All decent people are hoping he succeeds. They're hoping the war ends. And there's a big dividing line between decent people, Americans, taxpayers, who want the killing to end, and the media and the Democrats who don't. It's going to be a wild weekend. Win or lose, succeed or fail. Here's Caroline Levitt this morning announcing the details of tomorrow's historic summit. Go ahead.
Let's take a step back and look at the progress that has been made over the course of the last 7 months, thanks to President Trump's leadership. He inherited this brutal war that has killed millions of people in both Russia and Ukraine from his predecessor, Joe Biden. And thanks to President Trump's determination to bring this war to an end, both Russia and Ukraine have engaged in direct diplomatic discussions. They have exchanged prisoners of war and discussed other humanitarian issues. And you've seen the president engage directly with both leaders as well, over the phone numerous times with President Putin and in person several times with President Zelensky. The Russian president requested this meeting with the president tomorrow, and the president wants to exhaust all options to try to bring this war to a peaceful resolution. So tomorrow, bright and early, he will be departing the White House for our joint military base in Anchorage, Alaska, where he will engage in a one-on-one meeting with President Putin, which will be followed by a bilateral lunch with the respective delegations from both countries, and then a press conference. And so what comes after that meeting is up to President Trump. And that's part of the reason he is going. He has incredible instincts, and he wants to sit down and look the Russian president in the eye and see what progress can be made to move the ball forward, to end this brutal war and to restore peace.
Here's your headline from the Daily Beast this morning. This is incredible. Another potential disaster for Trump. That's what they want. That's what they're hoping for, a potential disaster. They point out, as I mentioned, that Trump has said he's failed to stop Putin from killing Ukrainians for 7 months, and they expect him to fail again. And this time, it will be spectacular. They will rejoice like we've never seen them before if this fails. That's why Trump deserves credit for giving it a shot. As he says all the time, I just want the killing to end. And what's your response to that? If you're a Democrat, if you're the Daily Beast or MSNBC, your response is, oh, he's being played by Putin. He's Putin's puppet. There it is. Patricia on the comment line. Trump is Putin's puppet. Trump is Putin's puppet. So if you want people to stop dying, if you want civilians to stop being targeted on either side, you're a puppet of Putin. God, I pray, I hope. I know it's a long shot. I'm not confident, but I'm praying this succeeds. Trump said there will be severe consequences for Russia if they do not come to the table and make a deal. Zelensky is waiting in the wings. He's not involved. But if Trump can make a deal with Putin, we know Zelensky will fall in line and end the killing. And then what? Then they give him the Nobel Prize. Then what? What do you say if you're if you're the Daily Beast or Joe Scarborough or Rachel Maddow or Margaret Brennan, what do you say then? If Trump succeeds tomorrow, just doing it, giving it a shot. To me, I go back to this all the time, but why don't we ask more questions about why Joe Biden never, ever mentioned peace, never, ever tried to stop the killing? That was our president for 3 years, did nothing but pour more fuel on the fire. Nothing. Trump is giving it a shot, and for that, he deserves great credit. And, of course, for his efforts to stop the killing in our nation's capital. This story is just so revealing. It reveals what matters to people, what matters to Democrats, what matters to media members, media people. They cannot, as I say all the time, get past their hatred for Trump. They hate Trump more than they love this country. They hate Trump more than they love the people in D.C. who are the victims of this violent crime wave. I think we pretty much put to bed the notion that crime's at a 30-year low. That was the talking point that was sent out to all the Democrats, all the media people. Crime's at a 30-year low. Why is he sending in the National Guard? Well, there's not a single resident in D.C., not one, who thinks crime is not a problem. There is not one, unless you count Chuck Schumer. This is the take. This was the take all week for Democrats, that it's really not that bad. Trump's exaggerating. He's just making this up because he wants to use troops, because he wants to be an authoritarian. My daughter lives in D.C. I know lots of people from D.C. Not one of them thinks there's not a problem there. In the capital of this country, in our nation's capital, you can't walk around at night. That alone, that should be the only thing we can agree on. That shouldn't be the case. You should be able to walk around D.C. at night without fear for your life, without fear for your safety, or afraid that you'll be carjacked, mugged, beaten, shot, killed. That's a reality. Should be unacceptable to every American. But again, Trump's the one doing something about it, so they have to take the other side. Here is Chuck Schumer. This is so just outrageous. This is so offensive. Chuck Schumer refuting the idea that it's unsafe in our capital city because he can take a walk in the morning and he isn't afraid of getting mugged. Listen to this.
A lot of folks on the Republican side, your Republican colleagues, say that they are very scared to walk outside in D.C., that they think this is completely the right thing to do. Senator, are you scared walking around Washington, D.C. these days?
I walk around all the time. I wake up early in the morning sometimes and take a nice walk as the sun is rising around some of the Capitol and the other monuments and things, and I feel perfectly safe. They're full of it. Look, here's what they've done, Aaron. Plain and simple. Donald Trump wants to distract.
Plain and simple. He wants to distract. Chuck Schumer is the minority leader in the Senate. He has armed guards. He has a security detail that walks with him with weapons. And this guy wants to tell the old lady who's living in D.C., wants to tell, the tourist from Europe who's afraid that it's safe. I walk around early in the morning when the sun's coming up with my security detail, and I don't fear being mugged. God, is that the most tone-deaf response you can have? As we've shown, we've played plenty of people who live there, who have witnessed crime, who've been the victims of crime, and applaud Trump's effort to make it safe. Get the Morning Joe clip, because this I think Morning Joe Scarborough's waking up. He knows. He lived in D.C. He knows it's a problem. He understands, and he is he's not willing to join his friends on the left in condemning Trump for this. Last night, let me get the numbers on last night from Kash Patel. He posted what they did last night. The first night, I believe there was 43 arrests. Last night, similar numbers. Here it is from D.C. Kash Patel tweets, the FBI and our partners made 45 arrests, 29 immigration related, 16 tied to the violent crime surge, 3 firearm seizures. Charges include assault on a federal officer, possession of child sex abuse material, illegal firearms, drug trafficking, fugitive apprehensions, and Subway sandwich assault. We'll get to that. But here's Morning Joe with his panel of 72 liberals admitting that the people who live in D.C., the victims of this violent crime wave, they've had enough. They welcome this move by the president. Listen.
The answer to this problem for Democrats is not, oh, everything's okay. There's nothing to see here. Move along, move along. Oh, Washington has dropped 24% or whatever in crime. Well, let me give you some other numbers. The Washington Post took a poll in late April, early May. 91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. And John Heilman, we've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. So wrong about crime. Let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among lines of race and income in the poll, with Black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes. As they were last year, Black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same thing last year.
There you go. Black women are most concerned about crime because they're the victims. And John Heilman or the rest of that panel, they're not the victims. They don't live in these neighborhoods. They don't care. They just hate Trump. Let's get to the guy who was arrested. I love this so much. We watched for a year as the Antifa scum and Black Lives Matter attacked cops, and virtually none of them were prosecuted for anything. Hold it right there. And those days are over. And this guy is just a classic liberal white punk. These are the people who are against this move. This isn't the old Black lady who lives in a neighborhood and fears for her life and says she cannot leave her house at night. The woman we played for yesterday who's made the rounds. This is a white liberal man. He's wearing a pink shirt. He is so perfect. He's got
possibly salmon colored.
He's got a salmon colored shirt. You know what this is? This is a Zohran Mondani fan. That's what this is. This is a guy with champagne problems, to quote Taylor Swift. This is not a guy who lives in fear because his neighborhood's been overrun by teenage gangs of carjackers and muggers and criminals. It doesn't affect him. He just hates Trump. He hates law enforcement. So he goes up to these guys, these these National Guardsmen who are there just to support the local police and arrest people with illegal firearms and arrest carjackers and a guy with child sex abuse material. So they're in there cleaning up the neighborhood, just like they did in LA, just like ICE does in cities all over the country, making neighborhoods safer. He's pissed. So he goes up and starts harassing the cops, yelling at them. There was a protest. I just watched a video of a protest last night. There was not an African-American or Hispanic or a working person. It was, again, all these elitist, white, liberal Mamdani fans. And here's one. So he's yelling at the guy, you fascist, you pig. Whoom, takes his Subway sub, and just throws it at the cop and runs. What kind of mindset do you have to have? And there they are. This is beautiful. In slow motion, chasing him down, arresting him. And Jeanine Pirro announced, look at this. What kind of sense of entitlement do you have to do that? That's the person. That's the kind of person who's upset that Trump and Pirro and Patel and Hegseth are trying to make DC safer, trying to do something about this crime problem. And this piece of garbage throws his sub. By the way, why would you throw your sub anyway? You're not going to hurt anybody, and you're going to go hungry. And then just runs away, and they chase him down. And Jeanine Pirro announced he is being charged with felony assault right there on camera. Felony assault of a federal officer. He's going to jail. Times have changed. The nation is healing. You can't do that anymore. And I hope people follow his case. I'll try to follow that case. I hope this guy, and I guarantee he's like, doesn't even have a job. He's probably from some rich suburb, probably graduated from George Washington or Georgetown. And now he's going to go to jail for throwing a sub at this poor National Guard's just doing what he's told to do. Go stand in the street, give a show of force, show of law and order in the nation's capital. And this piece of crap thinks he could just throw something at the cop and run away. That's how it worked in 2021. That's how it worked in the summer of love. It doesn't work that way anymore. All right, we got the MSNBC. This is great too. Amika Brzezinski, Joe's wife. They're both kind of woke. They're not stupid. Obviously, they hate Trump. He kicked them out of Mar-a-Lago, but they're not stupid. They know this is a really bad look for their side, for their team, that they are being cornered by the president and forced to defend lawlessness, to defend violent crime in the nation's capital, to say it's not that bad. Then when they send their reporters out, all they hear is, yes, it is that bad. Then when they go to Simone Sanders, she said, why is it safe in Georgetown, but not in Southeast DC? Like, you don't know the answer to that? That's where the gangs live, lady. That's where the 14-year-old roving bands of carjackers live. That's where they do most of their crimes. That's why they don't do it in Georgetown. They do it in Southeast DC, and they do it near the Capitol, and it's a problem. But it's not just a problem for residents and tourists. It's a problem for Democrats because, according to Mika, they've fallen into the trap that Trump set for them. Listen to this.
And the murder rate, you can't keep saying violent crime is down, but the murder rate's up. To the average person, the murder rate's about life and death. You don't brag about a rising murder rate. And the Democrats I agree with you, Mika, they're falling into the trap of defending what's indefensible.
It's a trap. Yes, it's a trap. I mean, if it's not a winner politically to say, oh, you're wrong, look at the data, because, if one violent crime happens in a very heavily populated part of the city, people hear about it and it's visceral. They don't want it. And they'll gravitate to the person who appears to be doing something about it.
Yes, you figured that out, huh, lady? It's only 30 days. It's only 28 more days where Trump can keep the federal forces in the city. You know what's going to happen in 28 days? The residents are going to beg for him to leave them there. They're going to beg for more National Guardsmen, more federal agents, because you're going to see this every day. 43 arrests, 48 arrests, 50 arrests, 75 arrests of really bad people. Some of them are illegal aliens, by the way. Yeah, I want to get to this. You want to understand the problem in D.C. We've gone through that. We went through the laws that Jeanine Pirro is demanding they change: the Youth Rehabilitation Act, the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act, and the Second Chance Amendment, laws designed to free young criminals. As she says, she can't touch these kids who are under 19. They cannot prosecute them and put them in jail, even when they're committing violent crimes. They go to yoga class and arts and crafts. They go to school. They don't get incarcerated. That's the whole problem. This is the Attorney General of D.C. By the way, if D.C. were a state, Democrats want to make D.C. a state. It's never going to happen. But if D.C. were a state, it would have the highest murder rate in the country by far. The highest murder rate in the country would be the capital, would be our nation's capital. This tourist destination, this place everybody goes at some point when they're kids to see all the history. That would be the number one. That would be the murder capital. Our nation's capital would be the murder capital if it were a state. It's a big problem. And here's the problem right here. His name is Brian Schwab, the Attorney General for D.C. He's not the guy with the mask. The guy with the mask is one of his aides, I guess. But here's Schwab explaining his view of the problem of this youth violence, this youth gang violence. And he explains his take. And to me, he explains the entire problem right here. Here's the guy in charge of enforcing the law. Listen to this.
During the discussion, residents did not hold back, voicing their frustrations.
I blame the system.
Many questioning why kids aren't being held accountable.
We as a city and a community need to be much more focused on prevention and surrounding young people and their families with resources if we want to be safer in the long run. We cannot prosecute and arrest our way out of it.
There you go. There, you want to know the underlying causes, the root causes. Democrats love to talk about root causes. There's your problem right there. You have an attorney general who says we cannot prosecute our way out of this. He's 100% dead wrong. That's the only way to get out of this. Surrounding young people with resources? What does that mean? Midnight basketball, arts and crafts, yoga? What does that mean? There's plenty of resources. They probably spend more than $30,000 per student in DC to put kids through school, and they're not going to school. They're hitting the streets. They're out on the streets at 3 a.m. carjacking people. And this clown admits that he doesn't want to prosecute. Is there any other way to stop violent crime? Is there any other solution other than prosecuting your way out of it? That's what happened in El Salvador, by the way. That happens anytime you start prosecuting, holding people accountable. Here's the numbers. In El Salvador, homicides per 100,000. In 2015, there were 103. That, I think, was among the top in the world. It was one of the most violent, dangerous countries in the world. Then Bukele comes in and does one thing, prosecutes them. Gangs, killers, murderers, drug dealers, puts them in those big, beautiful prisons. Here's the numbers 10 years later. Homicides per 100,000, one. You went from 103 to 1. You know why? Because you prosecuted your way out of it. You put people in prison. That is the only solution. And you have an attorney general who refuses to prosecute, refuses to put people in jail or in youth detention or whatever it takes. The only way the streets can be safe is if the bad guys, the carjackers, the gangs are off the street. He's the problem. That's the problem right there. And if you played that, every Democrat in the country, every congressperson, senator, every local Democrat would agree. Oh no, we can't prosecute. We can't put them in jail. Why not? That's where they belong. That's why prisons were invented, to get the dangerous people off the street, to get them away from the law-abiding people. And yet you have an elected official, you have the top law enforcement agent in the district who says we can't prosecute criminals. Well, that's going to change now that it's been federalized, we hope, and hopefully they repeal those 3 laws and allow Jeanine Pirro and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi to do their job, because that's what the people in that city, that's what the law-abiding citizens, white, black, that's what the tourists, that's what everybody wants. Even though Chuck Schumer can walk the streets at 6 a.m. with his armed guards, people who live there, who don't have armed guards, who don't have arms, can't protect yourself, that's what they want. They want safety. They want law and order, and they're getting it, at least for 30 days. All right, we got so much more to get to. We got to get to this Hunter Biden Melania story. God, this could get good. And we have yet another. We have our daily installment of Scott Jennings just destroying the libs and saving CNN. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If you've ever searched for your name or address on Google, it's shocking to find how many results have your personal information, and it's not by chance. Data brokers and people search sites, collect your personal information, your name, address, phone number, financial info, income, and hundreds of other records. They sell it and share it publicly without your consent. But Incogni is here to put an end to that. It hunts down these unethical sites and gets your info removed from the places that expose your private information. You don't have to email anyone, fill out forms, or jump through hoops. They handle the entire process for you. Incogni is also continually monitoring if your data is put back into these databases, requesting repeated removals. This way, it keeps them off there forever. So you get fewer spam calls, spam emails, and you get more peace of mind. And best of all, you can cancel anytime, and they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can get it completely risk-free. Right now, you get 60% off an annual plan by going to incogni.com and use code word Callahan. That's incogni, incogni.com/Callahan, and use the code word Callahan at checkout. You get 60% off and protect your data for an entire year. You know what you could do? You know what you could do, Ironhead? I know you're watching cartoons or something. Why don't you see if you can get the name of the sub tosser who was arrested facing felony charges? I want to know who he is. He's going to go to jail, and he's going to be in federal prison. He's going to be sitting there with guys that, committed murder, robbed banks. What'd you do? I threw my ham and cheese sub with extra pickles at a federal agent. Well, why'd you do that? Because Trump's bad, because the evil are. He made me do it. That's good. We need to know more. I need a mugshot. See if we can get a mugshot. See if we can get some details on this guy, because we need to make him famous. Someone needs to make him famous.
His name is Sean Charles Dunn.
Ooh, sounds like a blue blood. Sean Charles. You got his age or where he's from or anything?
It doesn't say.
No mugshot.
Not yet. I am looking for that. I've been looking for that one.
Oh, that'd be good.
He's gonna have like pickles on his collar.
I know one thing. He's hungry. He's hungry. He threw his lunch at the federal agent, and when he goes, does he feel good about that? Does he think, I'm resisting tyranny. I'm fighting fascism, one ham and cheese at a time. Oh God, what a clown. What an absolute clown. I'm sure his parents are very proud. All right, let's get to this story. Melania Trump is threatening to sue. She hasn't sued yet. She's threatening to sue Hunter Biden. Man, this will be good. Imagine if this thing goes to trial. Hunter Biden claimed that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania to Donald Trump. It was debunked immediately. It's not true, but that moron doesn't care. He said it. It's called a notice. Sent a $1 billion notice over false defamatory Epstein claim from Hunter. So she's let me get the details on this. So she's threatening to sue. Will she sue? Hopefully. We're hoping he doesn't back down. Doesn't sound like he's going to. But here it is. This is from Fox. First Lady Melania Trump is putting Hunter Biden on a $1 billion notice over what she claims are false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements made about her, demanding he immediately remove and retract the content and issue an apology or face legal action, Fox Digital learned. They obtained the letter that Alejandro Brito, the attorney serving as litigation counsel for the First Lady, sent to Hunter Biden and his attorney, Abby Lowell, on August 6th. Brito demanded that Biden immediately retract the false defamatory statements about Mrs. Trump, which were contained in a video interview with Channel 5. That's the name of that podcast that Hunter went on with Andrew Callahan, no relation, spells it wrong, and posted on YouTube in early August. Here's the defamatory statement. We have the defamatory statement first and then his reaction.
Introduced Melania to Trump. The connections are like so wide and deep. Anyway, why do we think they don't want the files released? I don't know. I think John, that thing that John Heilman says is like a long time ago. I think is the most accurate kind of assessment of them, which is everything is projection or confession. Everything. So when he puts out that tweet and he says Epstein now is the Russia hoax or the Hunter Biden laptop.
The laptop from hell, which the Democrats swore came from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom.
Like, I wonder if it works. Do you know what I mean? When he
All right, there he is, painting his little finger painting little doodles, which aren't selling anymore, strangely enough. He's not getting $500,000 for his finger paintings anymore. But the same guy, Gerry Callahan, went back to Hunter to see if he was ready to apologize, retract his defamatory statements, and end this. She's threatening to sue him for $1 billion, which, of course, he doesn't have. Here's his reaction.
We're here maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Fuck that. That's not going to happen.
Oh, yes. Good job, Hunter. Let's do this, Melania. Why not? You know, Trump's on a roll. The Trump family's on a roll in court. Trump's made tens of millions suing the media for defamatory statements. I know he's got some assets, right? I mean, he must. He didn't blow it all on hookers and coke and crack cocaine. That will be glorious. Melania Trump versus Hunter Biden in court. Sounds like he's ready to dig in his heels, and I say, do it. Do it, Hunter. Stick to your guns. All right. Let's get to yet another glorious Scott Jennings appearance on CNN. This is my favorite I've seen in a while. If you're not familiar, he's saving CNN. One beatdown of some idiot liberal at a time. They bring him on every night. The host of the show he's on, Abby Phillip, hates him. She's so jealous because he's like the big star on her show. He's saving her. Without him, she wouldn't have a show anymore. She'd have been canceled along with everyone else, and Jim Acosta and all the rest of them. But she has a show. It's probably doing okay thanks to Scott Jennings. But here they go, and this sets him off every time when they talk about violence in D.C. The liberals just always go to January 6th, where one person was murdered. That was Ashley Babbitt. That was one day. That was 3 hours, and that's all they got. That's the only thing they can do to debate, to argue this issue of Trump doing something about violence in our nation's capital. And wait till the end. This is my favorite shot that Jennings has ever taken at one of these screeching liberals. Go ahead.
My advice on this, as a punditry matter, would be, well, let's see where we are at the end of 30 days. How much progress have they made? And then Congressman can make an assessment at that point about whether this is working, and maybe it would help to extend it a little bit.
I guess I'm old enough, Scott, to remember when you were appalled, as the rest of us were, on January 6th, when he wouldn't.
Because January 6th happened. Should we not enforce the law today?
Excuse me.
Do you want murders today?
Let me finish, Scott.
January 6th equals no enforcement of murders.
You hate talking about
this is a silly argument.
Let me finish before you make a point about a silly
argument.
argument.
Be silly,
What's silly is you sitting down with Mitch McConnell over Chick-fil-A and lamenting how Donald Trump was putting all of you, including Mitch McConnell, in harm's way. But I guess now you're so.
I wasn't in harm's way. I was in Louisville.
No, your then boss, your friend Mitch McConnell certainly was. But now
January 6th was a bad day.
Can I finish?
Murders are also bad.
Can I finish?
I want murders solved.
Can I finish?
Just let her finish.
Scott's gonna.
Well, if she wants to come out here and take pot shots at me, I'm not going to allow it.
I know
it's a stupid argument. I'm not going to allow it.
Scott, just let her finish.
I know
I don't even know that we've even heard the argument.
No, we heard it. We heard everything.
So go ahead,
Scott, I know you're thirsty for that Senate seat, but let me finish. What I'm going to say.
I mean, you allow this every night.
Just give me 1 second here. Let's just let her finish, please.
Okay.
Just one
listen. I know you've got the picky thing going on, but here's what I'm going to say.
What are you thirsty for? Some kind of relevance out here?
No, actually, Scott.
I don't know what you do for a living.
Are you searching relatives? I don't even know what you do for a living. And he posted later. He never backs down. I'll give him credit, man. He never, hands out the olive branch or shakes hands. He just can't stand these people. And her name is Julie Roginski. They have her listed as a Democrat strategist, but I don't know what she does for a living. He tweets out, I still have no idea who this person is or what they do for a living other than make Democrats look stupid on TV. Here's an idea for CNN. Put a camera in the green room as you're preparing to take this set on this show. Wouldn't you love to see what it's like behind the scenes? Because these people just hate him and he hates them back and he never backs down. I don't even know what you do for a living, but it's true. January 6th, I mean, didn't we talk about that every day for like years? Is that really your argument that because of January 6th, we shouldn't try to stop violent crime in the nation's capital? We shouldn't try to protect that old lady who lives in Southeast DC or Big Balls or Eric, I can never get his Jackham Tarpinian, the intern who was murdered in a random shooting. You just say, nah, January 6th. It's just so lame. They have no argument against this. Again, it's a trap. As Mika said, you are in a corner. You got nothing. He's stopping people from dying. Same as he wants to do in Ukraine. He's doing it in DC. And they fight and they argue. But I do have time for this. I do. I want to do this because I posted it last night. It's an issue we've talked about many, many times that people are waking up to the madness of the gender ideology of the trans movement. 27 states have banned gender affirming care, which, by the way, is just the opposite. It's not gender affirming, it's gender denying care. They go in there and, 5 minutes after they're there, they're told they're born in the wrong body. The people behind this, the doctors and nurses, are monsters. And it's continuing in many states, including Massachusetts at Boston Children's Hospital. They deny what they're doing, but they admit on video, on their own website, what they're doing. They admit they're performing double mastectomies on 15-year-old girls now, today, at Boston Children's. Again, the pendulum has swung. People have woken up to this. People hate this. They don't support this. It was a losing issue for Democrats in the election. It will remain a losing issue until it is banned everywhere. It's going to happen eventually. It's going to end. And 20, 30, 50 years from now, we'll look back on this era where these ghouls treated confused children like Dr. Mengele performed these barbaric surgeries on people, including some children. And it's sick, and it has to end. We have to wake up and just say, this isn't a political issue. This is about protecting kids. It's so insane when you think about it. Just think about it on basic fundamental terms, that a kid comes in, he's confused, he's a feminine boy or he's a tomboy girl. We used to have tomboys in the old days, girls that didn't play with dolls, that wanted to, play ball and wanted to, dress like guys. It wasn't a big deal. It was a tomboy. If a boy was a little feminine, it was, that's what he was. Now they tell him, you're in the wrong body. We have to perform surgery. You're confused. Here's how we'll solve that. Here's how we'll fix that. We will cut healthy body parts. We will drug you, make you a pharmaceutical patient for life. Just on basic common sense, logical terms. How is that allowed? How is that acceptable? How is that supposed to solve a kid who's got depression, anxiety? You know what we'll do? We'll operate on you, change your gender, and everything will be okay. It's madness. Here is, I want to get her name, this person, Maria Semnak. She's at RN, a nurse at Boston Children's. This is as sick as it gets. Again, double mastectomies, drugs, hormones, that's bad. Here she's describing how at Boston Children's, they make a penis for a woman who thinks she's a man, or a girl who thinks she's a boy. It's almost beyond belief, describing in detail how they take the flesh off your arm. Have you ever seen this video of this? This is what they do. Take the flesh off their arm and make a penis and then say, you're a boy now. This is going on today in Boston and all over the country. Again, more than half the states have banned it, at least on children. But that means almost half the states have not Listen to this ghoul and tell me that this should continue.
For bottom surgery, hair removal is extremely important. For phalloplasty, we make the neophallus with the tissue most often from the arm, sometimes from the thigh. This part of the arm right here becomes the inside of your urethra. In there, we cannot have hair. That urethra, once it's made, is not accessible anymore to the outside world. So we need the hair removed there to reduce complications after. And then for the actual phallus, the hair here can be removed ahead of time. It can also be removed later, but I assure you, once you go through surgery and recovery, the last thing you want to do is then go get hair removal on the outside. So doing it up front is important. We help you figure out sort of what's important for you and what the cost benefit is, and guide you in what to do for that.
Whoa, that's just chilling. That's a nurse, an RN at Boston Children's, describing how they make a phallic by ripping the flesh off your arm. There will be a day, I hope I'm alive for it, when this was not allowed anywhere. It's banned, it's outlawed, and people like that should go on trial. People like that should be sued. And it's happening in some states and some jurisdictions. People like that are being sued for the damage they have done to people, including children. We have dozens more video like this. It's going on. They tell you it's not happening, and then they admit on their own website that it is. And it really is sick. It really is an outrageous scandal. And I know we've pushed back hard, and it's ending many places, but not everywhere. Not in Boston. Not in many blue cities and many big children's hospitals. It's continuing. And how could any civilized society allow that? That's a nurse, doctors, nurses telling you this is what we do to people who come in for us and get confused about their, just let the kid be gay. Let the girl be a tomboy. Why is that so hard? That's what we used to do. All right, before we go, let's do this Dershowitz clip, because Dershowitz has been red-pilled. Do I have that right? I never can keep my colored pills straight. I'm not a big Matrix guy, but Dershowitz has been banned from places on Martha's Vineyard because, he supported Trump, wrote a book, I think a couple of books, defending Trump, defending the president on, on a legal basis. He pushed back against the weaponization that Democrats employed to put Trump in prison. He was vocal for that. He's not allowed in certain places on Martha's Vineyard anymore. I'm not sure he can still go to the nude beach. He used to go to the nude beach on Martha's Vineyard, but now he doesn't get invited to parties anymore, and he gets shunned by all the beautiful people on the vineyard, including the Obamas. Here he is with Adam Carolla telling the truth about the Obamas. This is pretty revealing.
It's to the point where I do not like them. I think of them as bad people.
I don't like them either. I have to tell you that. I like them very much. I had, many social endeavors with him. He invited me to the White House over and over again, including to the Medal of Honor for Shimon Peres, a dear friend of mine who was the Prime Minister of Israel. But I don't like them as people. I remember Michelle Robinson when she was a student, and she was very radical. Obama was not. I mean, he was known as a kind of middle of the roader when he was at Harvard Law School. And I think during the beginning of his first term, he was a little bit more of that. But once he was reelected, you're absolutely right. He became, his true self came out. He's not a nice person. He's not a nice person. He's a smart person. He's very smart, but he's not a nice person.
No, he's also a co-conspirator in the unfolding case against all these deep state snakes who tried to destroy Trump. Tulsi Gabbard released another document which pretty much implicates James Clapper in the falsification of the intelligence community assessment. James Clapper is going to be the first to be indicted, arrested, handcuffed, frog-marched. That's my prediction. And they better pick up the pace because he's 84 years old. And they know, we know, he came out on this latest document and said, that's our story and we're sticking to it. Has anyone ever said that when they say something true? To me, that's an admission that there was a conspiracy, coordination, and Obama's involved up to his eyeballs. But I believe they will start with Clapper, Comey, Brennan. They're all going down, and that is going to be glorious. But we'll get back to that. That is not going away. Tulsi Gabbard is on it like a friggin' pit bull on a bone. It's good to see. But we will leave it there for today, and we will wait. This time tomorrow, Trump will be en route to Anchorage, Alaska, to attempt to end the biggest war in Europe since World War II. And God, let's pray he succeeds. And let's just wait for the absolute meltdown from the media and the Democrats if he does. Godspeed, Mr. President. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you.
Wow.
All. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.